Hey look, Elegoo sent me a thing to open up and review and generally look at on the channel here. According to the label, it is a smart robot kit for kids. Tamper with the tamper-proof seal and get inside and see what this thing looks like. There you go, Conqueror robot tank. It has obstacle avoidance mode, line tracking mode, auto follow mode, and infrared control mode. And FPV mode. It's got a camera on it. Oh, cool. Inside the box, we have, looks like some paperwork and some smaller boxes. I'm going to get these smaller boxes out and this paperwork out, and there, that's more manageable. So what is this thing? Oh, okay. It looks like it's a line tracking track. All right. Oh, and on the back of it, we have an inventory and assembly instructions. Oh, neat. So let's look in the boxes, starting with the small box. Oh, and the boxes are all labeled. So this one, well, we'll just do this. So here is an ultrasonic distance sensor module. Here is that little GY521 module, which I think it still doesn't say. I'm 99% sure that that is a XYZ motion detection gyroscope kind of thing. That is the line tracking module. Take a closer look at that guy. So we have three infrared reflective mode sensors. So there's infrared LED and an infrared transistor or diode receiver basically in each of these pairs. So when it's running along here, it will see its infrared bouncing off the white and it will not see it bouncing off the black, or less anyway, and we'll report that back to the microcontroller. And in here we have, ooh, this is the camera module. Let's take a look at that. So it's their own Elegoo branded unit. It's got a little 4-pin connector down there to interface with the outside world. Camera there, and on the back, an ESP32. So this is basically just their own branded version of an ESP32 cam. Okay. Nice standard module. Next in here we have an expansion board by the looks of it. Yeah, that is an Arduino hat, or shield, I guess, with a couple of push buttons, an RGB LED, an infrared LED, no, infrared sensor probably, because it's got a remote control, according to the kit, reset button, and plugs for all of the things. And then we have a very droppable, apparently, Uno R3. Again, their own branded one, not just repurposing somebody else's board. They've spun up their own board. Cool. Next box looks like we've got screws and tracks and mechanical stuff. So let's just do that. Nifty tank tracks. Well, that's pretty cool. So couple of drive gear type wheels and a bunch of idler wheels for tank tracks, and some little mechanical bits. Okay, what do they call that? Wheel caps, maybe? Oh, there's more in here. Screws, right rocker, left rocker. What are these rockers? Oh, okay. That is the little shock absorbers and the mounts for those idler wheels and the tank treads. Oh, cool. And the last box in has, oh, let's just take a look, see. I see a remote control, see a couple of the very standard kit motors, a screwdriver, reversible bit screwdriver, Phillips on one end and a hex on the other end. That's nice. Battery, heavy battery box. Wait a minute. Rechargeable battery box? Oh, wow. So no messing around with AA batteries. That's cool. I'm just going to plug that in to charge while we explore the rest. And yeah, there's a charging light. Okay. So what's next? Looks like some mechanical mounts, a couple of our handy dandy little 9-gram servos, bag of wires, another little screwdriver, a little wrenchy tool, 2 USB cables, one for charging and one for talking to the Arduino. Oh wow, a lot of these kind of kits come with laser cut acrylic. This is anodized aluminum. That is some pretty swish little structural pieces. And they've got the nuts built right in. Are those nuts? No, those are just, those are standoffs. Okay. Oh, that is nifty. There's 2 complementary sides. There is a top or bottom, and there is the, whatever that isn't, the top or bottom. This is going to be fun to put together, I think. It's going to take me some time to put together. I don't think I will do it on camera. I will follow the instructions that are on the back of this poster here, which is huge. It's literally poster size. And it looks like they're fairly good little step-by-step instructions to mount everything up. Starting with assembling the hardware, installing the motors, doing all this. It all looks like it's plug and play. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and put this guy together so that we can play with it a little bit. So if you go to their website, and I'll put a link down below to it, they have a link to download a zip file that has a bunch of information, including a PDF of that manual that's included in there. And I will just show you quickly, without too much ado, this thing. You can pause it wherever you need to just to see what all is in here and see what kind of detail there is in these instructions. It looks like a pretty well designed manual so far, and I think any sort of early teenager and up who can assemble a Meccano set or a complex Lego set should have no trouble putting this together. The wiring all just plugs in. There's no big deal. And it even takes you through the tutorial. And it looks like they've already preloaded some software on it so that it will run in IR remote mode. So I think that's probably what I will do initially, but it also has a bunch of useful information about how to control it from an app. Oh, neat. Didn't know that. So I found that from this page on Elegoo's web page, and as I said, I'll link to it below. Right, I am at the last step here, and just before I button this thing up and put the top on, I thought I'd show you the insides of it. So we have the 2 motors on here with the battery pack there. We have the, what I believe is the inertial measurement unit there. We have the line sensor on the bottom. We have the infrared sensor there. 2 servos and this bracketry up here, and we have the ESP32 cam module up on top, so it can pan and tilt with those motors, which is pretty neat. Everything plugs in there nice and clean. All the ports are labeled. There's only a couple of minor things that are left out or not super clear. It is a very good set of instructions. but there's only a couple of things really that that screwed me up, and that may have been because I wasn't paying attention. But first of all, these motors need to be put on with the nuts on the inside. When I reread the instructions, it did say that. Another mistake that I made is I put these motors on facing the wrong way, and they collided with these things, so they have to be towards the front here. This little swoopy part here is the back, the front's the pointy bit. Other than that, everything plugs in right where it should. If you're not familiar with the servo wires, the yellow wire is the signal wire, the middle red wire is the power, and this dark, whatever color wire it is the ground. They're labeled threaded on the board, ground 5 volts, and they're GPIO pins. This one's labeled 10, this one's labeled 11. But just in case that's not clearly spelled out in the instructions. Other than that, it went together quite easily, as long as you actually follow the instructions and pay attention to what they're telling you. All the instruction steps call out which bag the screws are in and which type of screws you need. And as you can see over there, I think there is 1 or 2 of each type of screw extra, just in case you drop one on the floor, which may or may not have happened to me a few times. But I've got them all back. So I will just put in these last 4 screws to put the top on here. And we will test it out. And just use initially we'll just use the demo software that they preloaded from the factory. There is instructions in the manuals on the website or how to install Arduino on your computer. I already have it installed because, you know, I do that now and again. And there are lesson plans on there as well. I'll give you a look at those in a second. I'm not going to upload them all onto this thing one at a time, not for this video anyway. If you've ever uploaded an Arduino sketch, then it's just exactly that. Man, this last screw is being a little bit stubborn. I think I just have to wind up there. There we go. Let's get those all tightened in and clean up my workspace a little bit, and we will get right back to it. Oh, I guess I should mention, piece of engineering that I thought was particularly neat is how these servos mount. They actually use the servo horns that come with them. One of them is in here, screwed in with a couple of teeny tiny screws. And down in the base of here is another one of the servo horns that is screwed in with, again, teeny tiny little screws. They are, what were they? They were M1.6 self-tapping, I think. Anyway, they just screw in there just very nicely. I am quite pleased with that. It is a very positive connection, and it is something that I think 3D modelers should take into account when they're designing stuff. Okay, so let's power this guy on. Power switch is right through there. So power it on, and these servos should zero themselves. Perfect. We have power on there. Okay, let's see what this thing can do. So first we'll just use the remote control, like I said. Each time you push the button, it turns 90 degrees. The infrared sensor is right on the back of it, so it's not perfect from all angles, but it works pretty well. Backwards, forwards. So let's try this obstacle avoidance mode number 2. That works pretty well. Now where are you going? Uh-oh. There's no obstacles for it to avoid. Oh, I did see that chair. That's cool. Yeah, chair legs is going to have trouble with. Stop. How about line follower mode, option 1? That works well. And you could just put a black tape line down on the floor Yeah, even when it loses the track, that's cool. Yeah, you could just put black tape down on the floor and it would follow it around. That's neat. Stop. Stop. Good. So I think that proves that the hardware works, which is pretty nifty. The only thing we haven't tried is the camera and the servos on it. So I think it's time to load some software of our own. Actually, you know, after rereading this manual again, I probably should have done this before I started, but you know how it goes. So there is an app that you can download, and the software package that you download has an APK if you want to sideload it, but you can also get it from the Android App Store, Play Store thing. So if you download that onto a device and you switch on the main Arduino board to cam mode, this switch right here, if you have it on upload mode, then this USB cable or connector connects to the UART of your Arduino Uno. If you have it on cam mode, then the UART of the Uno connects to the UART of the ESP32 up here and can control it, which is neat. And apparently the factory loaded software already has that functionality in it. We go into our Wi-Fi settings on our device. We can see the Elegoo device, and I've already connected to it. That is the ESP32. That's the factory software that's in it. Yeah, you can't get to the internet from it because it's not internet connected, but that you don't need to. So then if you fire up the Elegoo Robot app, click on Conqueror, because that's what this thing is. Go to Control, click on this little chain thing up in the corner here to link it, which it already is. And then we can go into the various different modes here, but I'm going to go into camera mode here. Hey, look at that. We have some controls overlaid, and we have a view because it's sitting right over there. And I think, yeah. That's pretty neat. And then this over here controls the motion of the thing. Just pick it up off the workbench so that it doesn't go too crazy. And you can drive it wherever you want. Let's take that out on the floor and just play with it a bit. All right, let's see if we can drive this thing to my beer fridge. Nope. Oh, that's the back of my head over there. There it is. Can we look around? We can. That's good. We look up. Cool. I like this. And I'm still sitting at my workbench. Maybe I'm going to have to add an arm onto this thing to open the door of the fridge. So there's obviously tons of other things that this thing can do. And because it is Arduino based, you can reprogram it. In the lessons, it shows you all the different GPIO and what they do. Here is one of the lessons, one of the basic lessons, if you wanted to just write your own code. These are very beginner friendly. It explains more detail about how the motors are connected to the motor drivers, explains the motor driver chip, and then shows a block diagram of how it works. And then gives you some Arduino code to implement and shows you what pins everything comes in on and all the rest of that good stuff. This lesson alone, just from moving things around, is 20 pages. And of course has all the demo code there already so that you don't have to type it yourself. And then there's another lesson based around the line tracker, another one based around controlling the servos so that you can move the camera module around. And again, explains how the servos work, what pins they're connected to, shows you what the code looks like, and breaks down how it works. All very nice lessons. And because Elegoo asked me to, when they sent me this, I'm going to put a link down below to this Amazon page where you can buy the thing. Anyway, that is a pretty cool piece of kit, and for $100-ish, you get quite a bit. I think it would be a good start for a budding mid-teenage and up robotics hobbyist. It took me about 3-ish hours to put this thing together, and that includes me making some mistakes because I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to rush and thinking I was knowing what I was doing and just getting all flustered and having to go backwards and forwards a couple of times. But if you're paying attention, even if you've never built something this complex before, if you're paying attention, you should be able to put it together in 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that. You don't need any extra tools. All the tools that you need come with it. This screwdriver, this tiny little screwdriver for doing the little screws on the servo horns, and this wrench. That's all the tools that you need to put it together, all included in the kit. Very neat. Well, I think that's everything. Questions and comments as usual down below. Thanks for watching. Check out the links down below, and I will talk to you later. And because I know my regular viewers, I know somebody's going to ask, the beer tonight was Oxus Brewing's Juice of the Oats Oatmeal Stout.